I know that you would love to learn how Britnie Faith Turner is one of the greatest time optimizers in the entire world. She has a formula. She has some very, very specific, detailed, tactical metrics that she uses for herself and her clients. And she's going to talk about it for free in this episode, which means you're going to want to listen to the entire thing.
Wait a minute, this is free?
Yeah, still free.
What?
Unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Listeners, we just had like a 3.5 minute break. I went to use the bathroom. I got some water. And in that 3.5 minutes, I just witnessed Britnie Turner send a diagram to her contractors to build 3 different buildings. And you just drew it up in 3.5 minutes, took a picture, sent it to them.
A little sketcheroo.
And now they're building it.
It's in progress.
That was revolutionary.
I mean, that's life.
For you,
Mm-hmm.
you are impressive with your time. You optimize it so efficiently. You get so much done.
Thanks.
In such an incredible span.
Thank you. I've got a plan.
Yeah?
I've got a little strategy. I've never seen anybody use this before.
Can you tell me?
Mine started with studying billionaires.
Okay.
You think, just like we talked about yesterday, if you study the history of stocks or you
Yep.
study the history of real estate, you can predict the future.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you study billionaires? Do you think there's a few common denominators?
There's probably 1 or 2. There has to be.
The biggest one I have seen every single time is that they all carry this little black book. Looks a lot like that one.
Yeah, the one over there. Yep. Yep.
And they take furious notes in every meeting, and they say what day it is, who they met with, what they talked about, and what are the deliverables. What do they think? What do you think they do with that information?
They procure it and give it to someone, generally, or they analyze it, think about it, time to think and grow rich. One of those aspects.
They follow up.
Yeah.
Absolutely, everything you just said.
Yep.
What I saw is that, I am going to fill this book up.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to run out of room. Like, I'm going to lose this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the 2021 version of the little black book? So I actually started this in August 2013 at 12 o'clock because that's how far back I can go and tell you what I did minute by minute.
That's killer.
So instead of just tracking who I met with, what we talked about, what the deliverables are, I started using it as a scheduling tool.
Mm-hmm.
So most people are easily overwhelmed because they don't have a good system on where to put the information.
Mm-hmm.
So their brain is trying to serve them. And so it keeps it on loop, 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 loop. Hey, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget. And then they do this horrible thing, which is like write it on a random piece of paper.
Right.
And then they don't feel successful because they don't know what they accomplished. They lose information. They can only do so much. So you're really limiting the heck out of your life when you don't have an organized place to plan and to look back. So I can literally do a Control F on, this is done on Google Sheets, guys.
Yep.
I can search your name
Yep.
all the way back from the day I met you.
Yep.
And I can tell you every day that I've ever met with you, what we talked about, what we worked on together, what we decided. And guess what that does for you?
I don't know.
Makes you want to work with me.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because I do what I say I'm going to do.
Which is a fact. Strong fact. I'm going to give people some evidence of this. Other than this particular series, this podcast, this book, this game, this everything that we're going to create from Broke to Woke. Other than that, I don't even want to go into that, like how beautiful and brilliant that was created. But
that was his idea.
Weeks ago, Britnie, we had a sit-down whiteboarding session at the beach. And we're talking about ideas. And someone said, oh, we should do this type of summits 4 times a year. And you went, I love it. And you have this type of, you have this way when you speak, when you say like, I love it. And you have like, I love it. There's like this weird, it's either going to happen now or it's going to happen 9 weeks from now. But both of them are going to happen. Which one at the speed at which it's going to occur. But I can always tell, I'm like, oh, this is going to happen. And then sure enough, I mean, in hours from right now, we're going to have one of the first summits of that that was created on that whiteboard weeks ago.
That was a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
It was bananas.
Yeah. So this summit has a website. This summit has
videos,
professional pictures, a video promo. It's gone
physical
out to
notebooks,
thousands of people privately.
Yes.
It's got a workbook, notebook, swag, presents, and it's full.
Unbelievable.
And each person paid $10,000 to be there to change their entire life.
It was impressive to see that and to know that you can take action because number one, was every idea on that whiteboard genius? No. Are you going to do every single one of them? No. Did you pick the ones that you want to do because you love them and they align with your vision and what your heart is and what God directs you to do? Yes. And you're like, okay, boom, boom, boom. These are the ones we're going to do. And once you decided, they're getting done. And it's really, really cool to see that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you
welcome.
so much.
It's really fun. It's really,
Thank
really
you.
fun.
A lot of people take forever to plan things and
Yeah.
they fear and this and this. It's just creating a system that you can use time in, time again. So
Right.
when you start feeling overwhelmed, do a brain dump. So it's still on the spreadsheet. Just go through all the stuff in your head. Then you organize it by category. Then you just say, what are all the tasks that need to happen to make that finished?
Right.
And then you rank them by priority and you put them on your schedule.
Right.
So we have a downloadable for this exact spreadsheet. Guess where it is?
BrokeToWoke.com.
Hey, broketowoke.com.
That would make so much sense. Now,
So this tool's amazing.
random question. How did you get so good at spreadsheets? Was that something you were born with?
Not actually naturally organized at all, as my mom will tell you, but I couldn't learn the same mistake twice. So it was super important for me to get organized, be able to fulfill my word because I didn't have anybody believe in me pretty much ever. And the only way that I could get them to believe in me is to follow through, which is I'm not naturally good at. So
Right.
who cares what you're naturally good at?
Right.
Just overcome it and become good at it if it is required for who you want to be. So hear me again.
Busse, can you repeat that one more time for the listeners?
If the person you wrote out that you want to become requires you make changes even to what you're naturally good or not good at, comfortable with or not comfortable with, guess what? It's your responsibility to do. Transform. You get to every day. Are you just going to say, oh, sorry, I'm a crawler. I'm not a walker. Walking's not my thing. I'm just going to stay doing this. No, suck it up. At what point in your life did you decide, nope, this is just who I am. I stop here. That's your fault. That's your own limitation. And that's on you. And nobody really cares. So we're just going to leave you there.
Yeah.
So, Jerremy Alexander Newsom.
Okay. Britnie Fitzgerald.
Hyper-growth person.
Yeah.
Hyper-growth companies.
Yeah.
You are one of the most impactful and effective people I've ever worked with, and that's a huge standard.
Thank you.
Massively respect you. What's your system?
My system, because I want everyone to know that Britnie is far superior at spreadsheets than I am. Because
it's Google Sheets, guys.
because I haven't taken the time to do what you've done in that regard, meaning just learn it and transform that particular aspect. But what I can say is what I have done is kind of mathed it up a little bit and figured out what would help me. And here was my formula. A few years ago, I wanted to know how much my time was worth. And I started changing my definition about time. And I started changing my beliefs about time. One thing that changed my life and every client that I ever work with is this particular tidbit that time is infinite. So yes, we are going to die. That's all going to happen. And we have a finite amount of time on this earth. However, time itself is infinite, which means you can always have enough. You always have enough time. You can always do anything. You always have enough time to do anything you want.
I like that.
So you have to create a system and a priority schedule that allows you as a person to block things out and go, all right, how do I accomplish this during this exact amount of this period of instances, of these moments? And one way that helped me mathematically was coming up with a number of how much I made in a year, divide that number by how many days there were in the year, and then divide that number by how many hours are in a day. And then at that point, you have your, realistically, gross hourly wage.
Right.
And once you have that wage, if I can hire out that thing to be done for less than that value, it is literally worth my time to do that.
Yep.
And then I get more time back. So here's
But I could just do it myself. I can just do it myself.
I'll just do it myself.
Why pay somebody else if I can just do it myself? I know how to do it.
Yeah, precisely. And I get that question all the time. It's like, well, number one, it is literally not worth your time. It's not worth your time to do it. Now, do you want to spend some time? You can, sure. You don't necessarily need to hire everything out if you enjoy it. But do you want to take an infinite resource, block it down to a finite period of time, and then give that thing away for free? You can if you want to, but should you? It's like, probably not, because that's your most valuable asset. Money, which we've talked about numerous times, is fake. It's literally something that changes forms, it changes paper, it changes value, ideals, beliefs, constructs. Physical properties of money will change. And if you realize that at a moment in time, you're going to figure out, wait a minute, money is actually not an asset at all. Time is my only asset. And when you block out time, you can base it based on whatever unit of measurement you want, either it's dollars, euros, Bitcoin, whatever. You get to come up with an ability going, oh my goodness, this is something now that can transform my entire day-to-day routine. So about 6 years ago, this was kind of my metrics, my numbers. $220,000 a year was like a gross number of making trading. So I was like, okay, $220,000 a year divided by 365 days. Don't worry, I had a calculator already. Do this. It comes out to $602 a day. Divided by 24 hours is $25.11 an hour. So now, that helped me with tons of things, because let's say I would take a trade and make $100 in 30 minutes. Well, that is actually 4 hours of time that I made in 30 minutes, which means that allows me to go, you know what? I don't need to take any more trades today, or at least for the next 4 hours. Now I can sell that position, lock in that gain, realize it, and go do something else with my time for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And it allows me to not have as much FOMO. It allows me to be more productive. And it now allows me, if I go spend other time, I'm literally gaining time. I just gained an asset. And for me, that was a monumental shift.
Why do you use every day of the week if you can only trade 5 days a week for normal stock trading? And why do you use all the hours you're awake versus normal open hours? Yeah,
great question. Great question. So that was, for me, the initial routine. You can actually do very, very many tweaks and adjustments on this. So I did 24 hours because you want to make money while you sleep. Right? So when you're sleeping, can I also make enough money, like $25 an hour times 8 hours, right? Can I bank that amount of money? Can I bank that amount of time? How do I make money while I sleep? How can I buy assets that produce that amount of money while I'm sleeping, so therefore I literally do make money while I sleep? There's a lot of ways to break it down. You can break it down to hourly works. You can break it down instead of 365 days. You can break it down to, okay, how much is 200 days? You can start blocking it out in all different formulas. But in essence, this is the absolute, just what I would call gross, right? How much money do you make gross before taxes, all that? How many days are in the year and how many hours are in the day? It's your gross number.
When you go to hire, though, you're probably worth, during a work day, if your people work normal hours, you'd probably have to weigh it against the hundreds of dollars you actually make. Is that how you do the hiring part?
Exactly. Bingo.
Nice.
Yeah, bingo.
I think it's smart.
Yeah.
I like that. You're running it two ways.
Yeah.
I love that. So I've got a similar idea.
Okay.
I run people through Opportunity Calculator. And you put in all your different streams of income, all the different ways that you make money. So it could be your job, it could be being a real estate agent, it could be owning one Airbnb, all the different ways that you make money.
Right.
And it goes into what it is, how much you make, how many hours you spend a month on that, and then it ends up being dollar per hour. But then we have this other weird column in there.
What's the weird column?
Joy ranking.
Joy.
How much joy does that activity actually give you?
Right.
So you can give yourself a raise by putting more energy, more investment, more effort into the ones that pay you. Literally, we saw some $1,200 an hour versus $20 an hour. Guess which one took more of their day-to-day?
I mean, the $20 an hour would take more time.
So insane.
Yeah.
They're like, what? Why am I even doing this? Why could I be doing this?
Yeah.
They didn't even see it. But then guess which one gave them more joy? So you can give yourself a financial raise. You can give yourself a joy raise.
Oh my gosh, that's
How
brilliant.
can we get you up into living at a 10?
Yeah.
Or at least close.
I was about to say, does that scale on a 1 to 10?
With your income, the way in which you make money can bring you joy or it can steal your joy.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
That is wild. Because then I'm already thinking some easy math formulas because I want everyone to know I'm really good at second grade math, and that's it. And that's where we stop. But you can think about some formulas. You can really start creating, okay, well, I spend this amount of time, this amount of joy, and I bring in this type of value for my family and start calculating which one you want to spend more and more time with. And you can still do a time blocking measurement because that's exactly what I would do in that situation is I would pre-plan ahead of time and start going, all right, 3 months from now, I'm going to start doing these things on these times of the day so that this is my most productive time to spend time on this.
Right.
And you start reducing the amount of time that you don't want to do on whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, I went from, obviously making nothing to now my minimum is if it doesn't make $6,800 an hour,
just don't do
every
it.
hour, 24 hours a day, I have to hire it out.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's not cocky, but that's how much I can generate.
Yeah.
In my sleep and awake, that is what I've worked my life into. So anyway,
I love that.
it's knowing your worth allows you to say yes or no a lot easier in a non-cocky way, making sure you're living in your joy. But it's your responsibility to organize your life. You can just flop in, flop out, or you can be freaking intentional. That's the whole point of this.
Don't be a dead fish, as Britnie said earlier. No need to flop. But if you're going to do any type of flopping, use your finger to flop into the next episode because we're going to start diving into the wokeness of money.
Oh, man.
Right? Because we're talking about time, and we're going to start blending time and money because you just mentioned metrics and joy and cash flow and per hour. I would love to dive more into that with you so that we and our listeners can figure out precisely how cash flow works and maybe the fastest path to becoming a multimillionaire, some streams of income you mentioned. Can we talk about that?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
If you like what you've heard and you want to join a network of other Force for Good entrepreneurs to scale your income and your impact, go to broketowoke.com and join the G-Force Mastermind.